end as well. It's got to be a bit of a worrying moment for these two. Joni Tomala just in the first part of our picture, and Freddie Rasmussen in the background. Wonder what they can do there to pick themselves up from that, and how they're going to go here at Spa, because it's quite a well-balanced track as far as the BOP goes. There's no one particular car that you definitely want, like you would at maybe a Monza, where you'd prefer the Audi. This circuit doesn't really lend itself to that.
No, not quite. Another team to look out for, of course, is R8G, who have certainly struggled at the start of this one. Very unlike them as well, especially after the form that we saw them in the Drivers' Championship rundown, and not to mention leading up to today's final 6, because obviously yesterday they were on a points charge. Marcel Cinchik not having the ideal start. As we now hit qualifying, folks, we're getting set now for the drivers to launch around the circuit in Stavolo. Kevin Siggy getting us back underway as he now rises through Erosion Radial.
Up the hill, revving it out at the moment in the top of 5th gear before heading into 6th towards the latter portion of the Kemmel Straight. They really do rev that BMW very highly, way past the lights on that screen. You can see just in the view that Kevin Siggy will be using. He comes up towards the end of the first sector now. It's a 38.8 from him. He's on the money for the moment, but it's a long lap around this circuit. 7 kilometres up and down the hills of Belgium.
Yeah, it certainly is. Kevin Siggy now looking to dial in, heading through towards Rivage, keeping it tight down the inside. 38.8 in that first sector is just a little shy off a 38.7, where I'm sure he would prefer to be, as now he makes his way through the Jackie X curve as well, but relatively fast pace, a mid-speed corner as he now heads down towards Pouhon. Looking for around a 59.7 here in this middle sector. They'll then tee him up through towards this next swinging section. The Estes are so tough, especially around La Fanière, heading down towards Campus and Stavolo.
Yeah, so next chicane coming up right now. You'll need to hold it to the inside, especially through the right hand here, just to open up this left hand coming up next. Get a good run out of here so that you can pull that car to the left hand side, ready for Stavolo, ready for this long run. As you get on the power through this right hander, it's a long flat out run right from here towards the bus stop chicane, especially in qualifying trim. Kevin Siggy over that second sector line. It's a 59.7. He's roughly where he needs to be for the moment. It's an impressive opening to this lap time from Kevin Siggy. It could be enough for pole, but there's a lot to do here when you're first out, and there's 11 fast drivers behind you ready to overtake that time.
Yeah, it certainly is. Heading down towards the bus stop chicane now, and in sector 3 he'll look to try and nestle in somewhere close towards a 35.8 to bring his time to the forefront. Looking to follow suit after an impressive performance at Hockenheimring. Kevin Siggy now heading up across the line. He'll set a 2:14.366. Competitive. I'm sure we'll see some more.
We certainly will, and maybe it will come from Jiri Toman. Bad luck at the end of his race as he got a track limits penalty on the very final lap. 10 seconds, which has demoted him all the way to last in the standings there, dropping RH Esports more than 10 points in a race that they really needed to pick things up a little bit from where they started. A 38.7 in the first sector is absolutely fantastic. A 59.8 in the middle is not quite so much, but it could even out quite nicely. It's a 14.4, I'm afraid, for Jiri Toman. He's just under a tenth away from Kevin Siggy.
That middle sector certainly was crucial. Max Benneker, though, with a 38.7. He is looking dialed in the first sector, and the middle sector is looking pretty smart as well from Max Benneker, the current drivers' champion. Back again for Mouse, this time at Spa-Francorchamps in a quest to lift them higher up through the team standings, as now we see him make his way through the bus stop chicane. Needs a vital third sector here in order to get past that of Kevin Siggy up at the front end. Second fastest, a mere 19 thousandths, a shrug of the shoulders. So close, but yet so far.
Very close between the top two now, and Team Redline have a good chance to get both of their cars up onto the first 2 rows now, with Jeffrey Rietveld, who's making his way towards the final sector at the moment. He's had a really fantastic time in Riyadh here in terms of 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship. Was an important part of making Team Redline a top 6 team yesterday, which has put them into today, and now he's put the time in. It's a 14.3. They're so consistently close, the Redline boys, just 0.03 of a second away from one another.
Half a tenth away from the top time set by Max Benneker at the top. In fact, looking at the graphics, a bit of a switcheroo. Siggy was 19 thousandths down in seconds, so we have had a change up. Benneker in accordance to the timing tower, 2:14.347. Bit of a difference. We'll have to confirm that later on. Erhan Yujovski now making his way through the bus stop chicane now. 5th fastest now. He makes his way up towards the line. What's it going to be for Erhan Yujovski? Will he usurp his teammate? Not quite. Just over 1.5 tenths off.
and around a circuit of this length and this magnitude, that's quite good normally, but with a field this closely matched, unfortunately, Johan Joski will be hoping for a little bit more. Patrick Holtzman then for Miles, looking to join Max Benneker at the moment on the top of the timesheets for the Audi team. He makes his way out of the final turn now. It's a good lap so far. He may well be able to get up towards his teammate here, and he will. It's third place, 22 thousandths away. This is very, very close once again here this evening.
Looking strong for Mouse right now as we see Freddie Rasmussen. Of course, he was not being outside the top 3 in F1 Esports twice and Formula E Accelerate champion. Now here with the big boys here in ESL R1 as well. The Great Dane lifts through now the bus stop chicane. A 38.8 to the first sector is a little off. 59.8 though in the middle sector is again a little more than a tenth off as well. 35.8 to the final sector, more in line of where he needs to be, but it will land him in 6th place, but ahead of Erhan Yuyovski.
It's Joni Turmela now for G2 Esports as they look to really rise back up the standings again with this race. We know that Sebastian Job is going to play a key role for them in winning 2 races so far. Needs to continue on picking up those points lap on lap, race on race. Joni Turmela just gets things wrong slightly through the final chicane, I think. Not much emotion shown, but that time says it all. A 14.7, he's more than 3 attempts away.
Yeah, G2 certainly don't seem to have the response like they had, obviously, in the first 2 races that we had already. Of course, the combination of Freddie Rasmussen and Joni Turmela, they're going to have some work to do when, of course, we go racing here at Spa. There's Marko Pejic, 38.8 to the first sector again. He would want more. 59.7 in the middle sector certainly is more to the point as now they make their way down towards sector 3 yet again. The Merc now powers its way to 5th place. Just over half a tenth off as well. It's getting so close between them up at the front end. The top 5 all within a tenth of a second.
Can Graham Carroll join them? He has struggled so far.
Sector 2.
Oh yeah, I didn't even spot that. Apologies. Yeah, that's not a good middle sector at all. Don't know quite where that slowdown would have been. There's no obvious place in the middle sector, but there's any number of them, and Graham Carroll has had the unfortunate task of that, I guess. I don't even know the word to find that. 16.0 is the one for him. 1.7 seconds away. That's only 10th in what's becoming a little bit difficult now for Mercedes. Carroll will likely be starting towards the back.
Yeah, and this time as well for Mitchell de Jong, looks like it might be out 10th apiece in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Heartbreak, though, for Graham Carroll as he's struggling to get himself back into the frame, of course, just making a mistake, I think, through the middle sector, leading to a potential slowdown. Mitchell de Jong now crossing the line as well. Sector 3 at 35.8, more in line of where he needs to be, but losing crucial time and nearly 2 tenths off the pace.
Yeah, and what about Dane Warren? Porsche Commander Esports team have started to really bubble up now in this championship. They've started to get going. They're starting to stretch their legs. Can they now push on towards finalist mode and win this before anybody else even gets there? Dane Warren's going to have an important role to play with that, of course, as he goes forward with this. What's the time going to be for him? A 38.7 so far, and then a 59.8. That's decent. And it's not a bad time at all. 4th place for Dane Warren, 32,000 from pole. What a session we've seen once again here at Spa-Francorchamps. But it's not going to be Dane Warren. It is going to be Max Benneker, the drivers' champion here in Riyadh. $100,000 richer back on Friday, helping Mouse towards that team's championship on Sunday.
Yeah, fantastic result for Max Benneker, managing to crank out a fastest lap here, 19 thousandths clear. Take us through the starting grid, Ewan.
On the back, it will be Graham Carroll and Joni Turmela then, with Mitchell de Jong just finding himself inside the top 10. Erhan Yuyovski 9th, just behind Freddie Rasmussen and Yuri Toman, both RHGs outside the top 10 with both G2s as well. Marko Pejic 6th ahead of Jeffrey Rietveld. Then there's Dane Warren in 4th, and Miles have had a great qualifying. Patrick Holtzman is 3rd, Kevin Siggy splits them, but it's Max Benneker who has the ALJ fastest qualifying lap here from Spa-Francorchamps for race 4. Our drivers' champion in Riyadh, leading his team, as we know he has to, towards glory in the team's championship as well. They've got catching up to do, Miles, but what better driver to have on your team than to do that?
Good time as well to get the big results as well, folks. Max Benneker on pole. The drivers' champion is back again, 19 thousandths ahead of Kevin Siggy, who is alongside him on the front row. A mouth-watering partnership on the front end of things. And as you so rightly said, Ewan, our ALJ fastest lap. pole position going to Max Benneker. Can he take it from pole to victory? That's the big major question.
It is, and Maus certainly need that. I mean, in the positions they're in at the moment, they score more than 40 points towards their tally. That's certainly less than the deficit that they have to the leaders at the moment, so that will be very, very positive indeed. But let's see how it goes. Of course, Kevin Siggy is in there as well. We did see Siggy up there a lot in qualifying yesterday, but unfortunately got involved in 2 incidents in 2 races, one of which was here at Spa. So let's see how he gets on with this circuit here today.
Yeah, it's all about pushing those bad memories in the back of your mind. Focus on what's ahead of you, because we got a team's championship on the line. R8G, of course, not having the best of times either. Qualifying certainly is one to forget yet again for them. Can they fight back, though, and bring those much-needed points to the table for the R8G and Romain Grosjean's team as we take a look there at Kevin Siggy, the man with the greatest moustache you'll ever see. He'll be on the front row alongside of Max Benneker.
I wasn't watching earlier on, by the way. Did he give us the moustache tweak he was promised, or we were promised?
He owes me one, because he promised me he would do it, but I've yet to see it. But you never know. Maybe if he wins, he'll do it.
He may have done it. Well, I just wasn't watching. But yeah, we didn't do the full pan around at the start of these drivers, because we introduced the teams at the start, of course, which you may remember if you were tuned in a little bit earlier on. It feels like a long time ago now, but race 4 is about to get underway. 7 laps around here at Spa-Francorchamps, where we kick things off. And once again, Maximilian Benneker has come full circle, because he's at Spa again. He's on pole again. This is where he took round 1 of ESL R1, let's not forget, at this very circuit where he was unbeatable on that day.
Yeah, and 25 points as well going to Max Benneker will push Maus right into contention with that of G2 Esports and Porsche Commander, of course, subject to the results that they achieve too. Of course, they have got the other Maus car, Patrick Holzman, who I'm sure will look to contribute to that effect. Everything about the team's championship, that's what's on the line. A big sum of money as well on the line. Big prize pool here across this weekend, and certainly this week too here at the Gamers8. ESL R1 delivering as it has done. Brought to you by Aramco here at Riyadh. We're looking forward to it. Take us away, Ewan.
Lights are on and we get underway. It's Kevin Siggy with a slightly better launch there, ahead of Max Benneker. He'll pull to the outside now and look to go around the outside of La Source here on the opening lap. It's a clean start from the front drivers, and everybody gets away well, gets through the opening turn all right, and in the end Max Benneker holds on to the lead. Kevin Siggy has got into second place as well, with Patrick Holzman holding on to third.
He certainly did as well. Max Benneker holding on to the lead. Kevin Siggy just getting out of the draft, but he'll get straight back into it now as they climb up through towards the Kevel Straight. The team red line now, a former teammate as well, a former comrade, Max Benneker, under threat now from team red lines. Kevin Siggy as they headed towards, now through towards Lecom, still wheel to wheel they go as Benneker looks to apply the pressure as they come through towards Malmedy. No move can be made for Siggy, he has to wait, but Holzman and Warren also going at it.
Warren ended up on the outside there of Patrick Holzman and couldn't get through. He has to stay behind. Jeffrey Riefeld, then it's Marco Payet and Freddie Rasmussen, who's very close in behind as well. He's side by side with Yuri Toman, who has to just pull back on in the way into no-name corner and then get the power out the corner. He holds on to 7th place at the moment.
Yeah, stellar showing indeed. Yuri Toman as well down in 8th place, with Yujovski in behind. Freddie Rasmussen ahead of the pair of them as they come out of Pouon now. They've got Lefagnier coming up next to this chicane that can certainly upset a few. Again, we're seeing though Graham Carroll looking to lift himself off the bottom, tying up with Mitchell de Jong, who he himself, after a decent result last time out, again finds himself down in P11. A solitary point should he stay where he is going towards Porsche Commanders. Well, certainly, you know, results they have had so far. Points mean prizes, certainly here in the team's championship here in ESL R1. We're running on board with Kevin Siggy, just over 1.5 tenths out of the question from Max Benneker. Still big points though on the table for Siggy and that of Team Redline. They've got 2 cars in the top 5, but crucially enough, Maus cars 1 and 3.
Yeah, it's $250,000, let's not forget, for the winning team here tonight when they take a victory in finalist mode. Freddie Rasmussen fires it down the inside and towards the bus stop chicane. That's not going to happen for him, I'm afraid. Marco Payet stays in front. He's in the silver Mercedes just up in front, and then there's Yuri Toman and Erhan Yujovski just in behind. 8th and 9th for R8G. Who would have thought that that team are having such the day that they are? It's been a bit of a disaster so far as they make their way out of La Source for the second time. It's probably Dane Warren who's closest to the driver in front. He's looking for a move into Lecom, no doubt.
Yeah, Sebastian Job, of course, who would go on to take 2 victories in our first 2 races. Isaac Price also delivering big points. Freddie Rasmussen now being asked to contribute. You can imagine Nathan Tague is going to demand the best from his drivers. Freddie Rasmussen, who's going to get a lovely drag right on the heels now of Marco Pajic. The Great Dane launches himself now through as they go side by side. The BMW and Mercedes tying up through Lacombe as they go wheel to wheel still. Powering through now this next segment. Malmedy Beckett. We've seen it already at the start of the race as well. But Rasmussen trying to fight, he's trying to scrap, he's trying to bang through now in towards P6, sorry. It's indeed Marco Pajic pays the price. It is Rasmussen now with a nose, but he hasn't quite got through, but now he has, heading through towards Jackie Hicks.
And the top 5 will be enjoying this one because the battle for 6th is just dragging everybody into this, and it's losing them a lot of speed. Hanuyovsky goes on the defensive in towards Puon. Joni Tormala was the one making the move there for G2 Esports at the moment, only picking up 2 solitary points for the BMW team that led this championship early on. Now they're falling backwards, they're needing points, and for the 2nd race in a row, both of their drivers find themselves outside of the top 5.
A reasonably busy first 2 laps. Max Benneker still leads the way, 7/10 of a second. Kevin Siggy in behind that gap has remained stagnant for quite some time. Holzman waiting in the wings as well, 3rd placed currently to his name. Max would love a 1-2 at this point. That would deliver certainly a huge abundance of points, 45 to be exact, should they be able to pull this off. There you can see the G2 drivers there, Freddie Rasmussen and Joni Tormala there in the top right hand of your screen as they look to try and get themselves nestled in the fight. As we now see, of course, as well, Johan Jojowski being pressured by that of Joni Tormala. Looking down the inside there as well, Mitchell de Jong. All these drivers looking for a rise. If you're G2 right now, you need to try and garner as much as you can. Before then, Sebastian Job and, of course, his teammate Isaac Price step back into the car.
On board with Yuri Toman now on the way towards La Source as he looks for a move on Marco Pajic. It's not going to happen here. It's going to have to come in towards Lecombe once again. It's a better exit, better line from the RHG driver on the way out of that turn. He may well have the problem of being too close, in fact, on the run up through Eau Rouge, unless he just feathers the throttle a little bit down the hill here and lifts off. He'll stay very, very close, as will Patrick Holtzman. It's the lead for Maximilian Benneker at the moment, but Kevin Siggy can't stay with him. And Patrick Holtzman looks to join his teammate at the front. Mauser having a fantastic race here at Spa-Francorchamps. It's the outside line for the German. He joins his teammate. Fantastic move. And Maus are 1 and 2.
That's that crucial overtake they've been waiting for. 45 points on the table for Maus. Should they be able to bring this one home? Benneker leads the way. The gap now nearly out to 8.5 tenths between him and his teammate. There was seen some 3-wide action as now Marco Pajic under pressure from Freddie Rasmussen. Enter Yuri Toman with the Toman toe as they look to come through Rivage. Still again, Pajic fighting back through Jackie Hicks. A stellar defence as he retains P6.
What a battle that was. 3 wide on the run down towards Bruxelles, and Rasmussen looks to the inside again. Half in attack of Marco Pajic, half in defence of Yuri Toman, but this is only going to invite more pressure. Rasmussen has been defending hard for the opening 2 laps. Now that he's been overtaken, there's 5 more drivers behind him who will want to get through.
3 wide can cause misery up the Kemmel Straight. 3 wide through Rivage is just plain outrageous. They come together again, heading through the middle sector. Toman now trying to find every out. So you can imagine that Mehdi El Fati, the team's boss, obviously the team manager, driving his team forward, looking for the big results. They've had hardship already in races 1 and 2. It looks like 3 and 4 are going to be painting a similar picture with minimal points scored here from Yuri Toman and Erhan Jojowski. They need to try and clamber as best they can, this being one of the more crucial races as we enter what could yet be the midway point in this championship. As now Toman looks down the inside, this time on Freddie Rasmussen, a look in the mirrors just to let him know he's there.
Yeah, but not a move on this occasion. Rasmussen certainly losing that bit of speed because Pajic has got now half a second. Yuri Toman right behind the face of Freddie Rasmussen. You can see on the left-hand side, he'll be looking in his mirrors quite a lot more over the next few moments. There's the very late braking from the Audi. That was very close to contact.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, if there was a rear view camera then, there certainly is as well. Those drivers would have seen a very, very bright orange and blue and yellow car storming up behind them. I'm sure we'll get Jasmine's take on the livery very soon as well, as we now see the cars right up through Eau Rouge. Page and Radion yet again. Rasmussen still in 7th, Page ahead of them, but Rasmussen not surely going to be concerned with what's ahead, because it's behind. He needs to be worried about Yuri Toman getting the toe up the Camel Straight. He might actually have the favourable inside line into Lecom. All the momentum applied to that of the RAG Audi LMS R8 as they now power through, but a defiant Freddie Rasmussen, not content with foregoing the position. That was a brilliant defence, a stout defence heading through Malmedy.
He's still got a long way to go though, and that's going to be the concern for G2 Esports now. They're clearly not as quick as those around them, but they're losing places hand over fist at the moment. Still 3.5 laps remaining. We're only halfway through this race, and Rasmussen's lost one of those places so far. He's going to do very, very well to hold all these drivers behind him for the remainder of this race.
Yeah, I tell you what, this points haul could certainly send Mouse clearly up into the top 3 as well. There's a lot of drivers in contest, a lot of teams there looking to fight, as we now see them make their way through the middle sector here on lap 4 of 7. We passed the halfway mark. We're now in the final 3 and a bit laps now, as we're now seeing Yuri Toman make his way down through towards Campus and Stavelo. Corbe Paul Frere lines up after this. There's Joni Tormala, currently down in 10th place as well. Only a mere 2 points will be added to his echelons too, or certainly to that of G2 Esports. They look to try and lift themselves higher and higher in the team's contest. Certainly here the Flying Finn is going to look to perhaps have a pop here at Erhan Yuyovski, who's getting a pleasant toe off his teammate Yuri Toman as they come through Blanchimont now before the bus stop chicane at the very end of this circuit. One of the longest circuits, certainly the longest here in this championship. 4.352 miles, 7.004 kilometres, 19 turns beckon them as they make their way out to the bus stop chicane to begin yet another lap. Lap 5 of 7, only a small matter of 3 to go as now they make their way down towards La Source. It's Benneker on top, Holzman in second, Mouse in Dreamland, 4 tenths away Kevin Siggy. Here we go, folks.
Another race where RAG Esports are both outside the top 5, and that's really damaging for them right now. Only 7 points currently being accumulated by them. On board with Fredrik Rasmussen, who makes his way up the hill through Eau Rouge now, but he's going to have those 2 out. He's very close to him now, especially that one of Yuri Toman, who you can barely see in the slipstream of that big BMW. The sleeker Audi just ducking left and right, and now heading to the inside, heading in towards Lecom. It's almost a bit of deja vu, as we saw this exact thing happen last lap, but this time Yuri Toman gives it a better go. Round the outside through the second part, gives him the inside for Malmedy, and now he goes through into 7th place. Yuri Toman makes his move. Yeah,
but it's not done yet, because Freddie Rasmussen will have the outside line into Ravage. Actually forgoes that little bump though in the rear and to the front of Erhan Yuyovski's Audi too. He's got an RAG sandwich, 2 of them in, well, outside, 1 in front, 1 behind as well, and also you can throw in Joni Tormala. He's also added to this club sandwich we have here at Spa-Francorchamps, heading down towards Pouhon yet again. It's now Toman in front of Rasmussen. He proceeded, he knocked on the door, he persevered, and now he's finally got past that of Freddie.
Certainly has, and now this the train is probably going to go down from 8th place on backwards, because Yuri Toman may well have the room to get away. Now back up to the top 5. Haven't seen these guys for quite some time, but Max Benneker is still leading the way here ahead of Holtzman, Siggy, Warren and Rietveld. It's a good day for Redline in this particular race, or good race, I keep doing that. Good race for Redline here. 2 cars inside the top 5.
I'm sure they'll rate the result as well, however. Of course, top 5 now, 2 cars in that mix. 3rd place going to that of Kevin Siggy, Rietveld in 5th. And certainly that'll go a long way as we make our way through this championship. Of course, the team's championship being decided here tonight, as now we see Jeffrey Rietveld make his way through the bus stop chicane. Up ahead of him, Dane Warren, who was a little disappointed. I think we could read that from his facial expressions in qualifying. Wanted that little bit more, but naturally as they cross the line to begin the penultimate lap. Lap 6 of 7, points on the table, still unperturbed up at the top. Patrick Holzman now very close to the back of his teammate Max Benneker, but they will not fight for the lead, surely, as they look to try and clamber on to P's 1 and 2. But Kevin Siggy, still 6 tenths away, can get a very useful toe, but this is all about Benneker giving a toe to his teammate Patrick Holzman, as Dane Warren now, with a very lovely bit of overspeed, comes up through Rouge and Radion.
He's very close now to pulling alongside Siggy already. He's just going to have that one last little bit of slipstream up the Camel Straight. He'll try and drive Siggy to the middle of the road here to compromise his line. Going in towards Lecom, but it's a late braking move from the Australian, and he's into 3rd place. points. Fantastic from Dane Warren as it's side by side between Erhan Yujovski and Freddie Rasmussen as well. Erhan Yujovski down the inside of Malmedy, and it's almost like what his teammate did, but not quite. Yujovski can't quite execute, and now Tormala, his teammate, is here as well. It's Rasmussen and Tormala ganging up on Erhan Yujovski.
He lost out to the expense of Yuri Toman earlier on. Erhan Yujovski now looking to try and join him or join his teammate further up the order. P8 currently up for grabs as Freddie Rasmussen now. Does he buckle against the force? Yuri Tormala now looking to throw his hat in the ring as they enter Puon, but a late break from Yujovski as he plants his foot to the floor. He has taken it away from Rasmussen, who now drops down to 8th.
Round the outside, round the outside of Puon. Very, very fantastic. A very nice move indeed. Anyway, Erhan Yujovski into 8th place, then it's G2 in 9th and 10th, Mitchell de Jong in 11th, and then Graham Carroll, who's involved here as well for Mercedes. This is the battle we've been focused on all race long. It's been by far the most exciting of the two groups, but unfortunately it's just been a race of misery for Freddie Rasmussen, who's lost place after place after place.
Yeah, it's certainly some extra points as well going by the way of RAG, but they still need a lot more at this point. 6 points going to that of Yuri Toman. Should it stay like this, 4 points going to his teammate Erhan Yujovski. In total, that will bring to 10 off the back of this very race, but they need more. There's points movements up the very high echelons of this fight here in this classification, and we're on the final lap. Max Benneker now taking them through towards the source yet again with his teammate Patrick Holzman in what can be only described as a magnificent day for Mouse.
Out of the first corner for the final time, lap 7 of 7 here at Spa in race 4 in the Teams Championship. It's ESL R1 sponsored by Aramco here at Gamers8, and we're getting down towards the end of this as 4th race. Patrick Holzman pretty close to the back of his teammate Max Benneker at the moment, but there's probably going to be no move between the two Mouse cars as Graham Carroll goes all over the curbs at Eau Rouge and Radion there. That was all wrong from him, and for whatever reason, Mitchell de Jong's quite far off the back. Something's gone on here in this group, hasn't it? Because suddenly Yuri Toman is miles away, and suddenly Yuri Toman is round the outside of Marco Pajic. Where's this come from? Toman's into 6th place. Something has gone on at the back of this order because there's cars all over the place.
Well, Yuri Toman managing to calculate yet more points to his name as well. Unfortunately for Pajic, coming a cropper in that scrap, and now he's down to 7th place with Toman elevating himself up into P6 and now grows his points tally up to 8 off the back of this race round. Spa, they now come down towards Puon yet again, and certainly a stellar overtake that was much needed for RHE, but as I said before, more required as 2 red line cars are currently featuring above them with Kevin Siggy in 4th, Rierveld in 5th, Dane Warren adding more to the Porsche Coanda makeup, 3rd place for them, another podium, but the Mouse cars in front, a legendary magnificent drive from the drivers champion Max Benneker and Patrick Holzman as they come towards the final sector.
It's the story of two teams doing really, really well in this race. Team Redline, first of all, 23 points from this one as things look at the moment. That's a good haul, but Mouse are going to absolutely destroy everybody else in this race. Race 4 is going to go to them, and 45 points added to their tally as well. It was pole position for Max Benneker, who won the very first round of ESL R1 back at this circuit in February. Now he's going to win here in Riyadh as well in the summer. It's Max Benneker and Patrick Holzman for Mouse. 1-2, the first team 1-2 we've seen all day long, and what a time to do it, putting themselves right back in this championship fight.
Reaction speaks volumes between that of Patrick Holzman and Max Benneker. It's Vermoose. A 1-2 for Mouse here at this phenomenal event, the Teams Championship here in ESL R1, brought to you by Aramco here at Riyadh. Some vastly important points going to this team as we now continue this massive journey. And more to come as well. And you can just see the team there all celebrating with their 2 top talents. They deserve it, I think, here.
They certainly do. Cool as you like on the pit wall as well. Benneker and Holzman barely moving from their seats. Yuri Kastrup seems more excited than both of them at the moment. He'll be up very soon as well, as there's going to be a driver change for some of the teams going on now. You don't have to change, by the way, going forward in towards races 5 and 6. We'll talk about that a little bit more on the other side of this race before we're previewing race 5 as things go along. But let's have a look at how things went on a little bit further behind. This was Yuri Toman getting through on Freddie Rasmussen, and this was the story of our race, really. watching this battle because it was fantastic, if not for Freddie Rasmussen.
Yeah, Freddie Rasmussen gave it everything, a stacked defence against that of Yuri Toman. Toman was just so persistent, and of course in behind as well had his teammate to join him. Mihan Yuyovski did attempt himself to try and usurp that of Rasmussen himself. Outside line out of Ravage is not ideal because you don't have that Tiger line that can help you out through these moments, but they came together and bounced as well. Of course, we saw Freddie Rasmussen there hit the front car as well ahead of him, that of course being Toman, and then of course Yuyovski in behind as they came together nose to tail. Here is the onboard, of course, from that of Yuyovski's car as well. You can just see there Rasmussen switching to the left, has the racing line, but that defensive line from Toman proving to be the difference maker as they made contact heading through Ravage. It was a stellar display as we then saw them once again duel through this very same section.
Yeah, this was Erhan Yuyovski making his move through Malmedy, and then it went on for quite a long time. Yoni Tomala got involved as well. Let's not forget, on the run down towards Bruxelles, it's the blue and orange REG Audi on the inside, which gave it the outside for no-name corner here on the Jackie X curve. Then Unitomalo was able to get the run on both of them, but didn't really want to make it 3 wide. It was spectacular from Yuyovski, though. This is the move of the race, arguably. It's round the outside from the REG driver. What a move that was to put himself up the order. Further up the front, though, it was a Mouse 1-2. Let's hear from them on the stage now.
Well, that's one way to do it. One race, and you are back in the running. You did kick things off in 5th place coming into this race as a team. But you know what? I'm going to try and get confirmation in my ear before we finish this interview to know what position you're in right now. Maybe you guys already know, but I don't. So we're going to try and find out. First and foremost, Patrick, I want to come to you, mate, because I feel like throughout that race, you almost had 2 jobs. First one was keeping pace with Max, and second one is basically fending off anyone that came anywhere near. How was it for you, mate?
It was only one job really, to keep the car behind, because I had a lot of support from Max. He always positioned himself perfectly, so I have the perfect slipstream, and obviously it makes life easier when you have the best teammate in the world in front of you, right? So he always did the right things to support me, and then it was all about not making any mistakes. But dream scenario for us.
فعلا يوم سألنا المتسابق معنا باتريك قلنا له أن بكل صراحة يمكن كان عندك شغلتين لازم تركز عليها، هو أنك تحافظ على المسافة معك ومع زميلك اللي هو ماكس، وفي نفس الوقت أنك تقفل على أي أحد ممكن يعدي وراء. وذكر المتسابق قال أنه لا بالأصح هي ممكن شغلة واحدة بس، أني أنا أحاول أني أصنع المسافة عن أي واحد أنه يعدي، لأن ماكس ما قصر من جد، اللي ساعده ودعمه ويشكره جدا، يقول أنه معي أفضل زميل معي في هذا السباق وأدى اللي عليه وأكثر.
Oh, he's going to make you blush, mate, isn't he? You know what, though? Great words, and you've got to be happy with that result, nevertheless. 1st and 2nd place. Now, talk me through coming into today. What was the team morale like? Was it all positive vibes? What was the strats coming into this, or did you just switch it up between each race?
Oh yeah, absolutely positive vibes. We go into this to win, obviously. We know our strength. In the end of the day, there's also a lot of luck involved, a lot of performance on that exact day, So if you rerun Hockenheim now, you probably have a completely different qualifying result, right? So it's always about the small details. But very happy about the result, very well needed as well. Good job from Patrick there, absolutely amazing quality time. So yeah, nothing more to add.
فعلا ماكس جدا سعيد بالنتيجه، وقال انه بكل صراحه السباق ما هو بسهل ابدا، خصوصا انه يعني لو انه تبدلت حتى برضو السيناريوهات اللي ممكن صارت في هذا السباق ممكن ما تكون بنفس النتيجه. يقول احنا جدا محظوظين على هذا الفوز وسعيدين فيه، لان من جد ما كانت سهله، وباذن الله يبغون يحققون انتصارات اكثر عشان يقدرون يفوزون في الكاس.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us in this interview, and best of luck going into the rest of the races throughout the day. But for now, we'll throw it over to the desk where they can discuss everything that has been going on behind the scenes and the current team standings.
والحين اعزائنا المشاهدين خلينا نرجع على الاستوديو نشوف تفاصيله، لان ما زال المشوار ما بعد خلص، نبغى نعرف الابطال في هذه الرحله، خلينا نرجع على الاستوديو ونرجع لكم في السباق اللي بعده.